Fifth graders, so this is a quick lesson on modeling. So let's say I wanted you to model 1 and 1/2, okay? So you're going to draw a long rectangle here, okay? And you'll draw a second one. Second one will half. And just like last week, what I wanted you to do was color them in, and so this is going to represent the 1. And the second rectangle, this Arduino, you would simply cut in half, and then you would color in half of it. And so that would represent 1 and 1/2. All right? So let's say I wanted you to represent, how about 2 and 2/3? So again, you would simply model it by drawing, starting off with some rectangles. 1, yeah, not perfect. I'm not looking for here. There's 2, and there's 3. So you ask, Mr. Glazier, why are you drawing rectangles? There can be two whole numbers. Well, remember you need another one for the fraction. Okay. So again, it's 2. So I'll just color in one of the rectangles all the way. There's 1. And this is 2, and you can even label these if you want. You could put the number 1 there, and a 1 there, and I could put a 1 back up here. Oh, and I probably should put a 1/2. You guys should get in that habit of labeling, especially the rectangles that you're breaking down into smaller pieces. Make sure you label them. So going back to the 2 and 2/3 here, so I need to break up this here into thirds. And they should be relatively close in size. So there's a third and a third. So each one of those would be a third, and I put a 1/3 fraction. Now it's 2/3. So whoops, I put a half in the last one, didn't I? Oh, let's see here if I can fix that. There we go. So that's also 1/3. Okay. So again, we're going to model this, and I'm going to color in 2 of the thirds, and you can, no matter which ones you color in, and so that represents 2 and 2/3. So modeling is really pretty easy. Let me do another one here for you guys. Let's see here. What I said to model 2 and 5/8. Okay. So again, let me move this up a little bit. I'm going to draw 2 rectangles, roughly the same size. I'm not looking for perfection here. And then the third one, I'll model the fraction. Okay, 5/8. So now this is important. This will help you guys. If you want to, who's clicking, making the noises there? Is that you, Mr. Kep? Race points. So if you're going to fraction, and if it was a half, that's pretty easy to do. Just cut it in half. But if you needed to model quarters, I'm going to put an order. Then what do? You just simply cut it in halves. Now each one of those is a quarter. 4 quarters is $1. 4 of those are in a whole. If you needed to break it down even more, you have 8ths, which is what we have to do in this one. Then what do? You cut each one of the quarters in half. Watch what I'm doing, cutting the quarters in half. So if you counted these up, there's 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and they're all relatively the same size, which is much easier than drawing and trying to figure out, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you got one there and a one there. That doesn't work so well. So when you're talking about halves and quarters and 8ths, it's really much easier if you just go ahead and start with a half, and then go to quarters, and go to 8ths. And what if I wanted 16ths? I said draw 2 and 7/16. Well, then you're going to cut all the 8ths in half. Cut that one in half. Each one of those little boxes would represent 1/16. Okay? So, going back to 2 and 5/8, I'm going to go ahead and color in 1, 2. Now I got to do 5/8, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it in half. And so that's a half each. Now I'm going to do a quarter each. Now I need to do eighths, so I'm going to cut each one of those in half. I'll cut in half, one in half, one in half, one in half. Okay? And it's kind of small, but it needs to be an eighth. Okay? And how many eighths am I doing? 5/8. And then I can go ahead and color in 5/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would represent 2 and 5/8. What if I asked you to do one that said, how about a 1 and 5/6? So again, I'm going to draw a rectangle, and I'm going to set up a fraction, and I'll color in the 1, and the next one I've got to put it into sixths. Well, and the sixth after second plus if I wanted to. But I'm going to first divide this up into thirds. So there's roughly a third and there's roughly a third, so each one's 1/3. 1/3. Okay. Now, if I needed to cut into sixths, and that's what I do need to do, then I just simply cut the thirds in half. So I'm going to cut these in half right here. Draw a line right there, a line right there, a line right there. So now I should have 6 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, roughly the same size. And what's that? It's 5/6. So I'm just going to go ahead and color that in. Let's see here. I'll pick yellow this time. Oh no, I already picked green. And so I need to do 5/6. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And each one of those is 6. And so this is going to be homework for tonight. Modeling fractions. I'm going to give you guys 6 fractions I want you to model. And I'm going to write them down right now. And not yet. Go sit down. And you guys can start doing that. So here's the fractions I want you to model. So number 1, and when you color these, so for example, I want to make sure the same way. Here's a rectangle, and if you're going to divide up into sixths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I divided that one up into sevenths. Here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to color one of them, a particular color, and each one of the squares a color that you kind of confuse. Okay? What I want you to do is just color them all the same color. And so it would look something like this. All right? So, here are the 6 problems for your homework, and then I'm going to teach you guys that new game in just a few minutes. So number 1, I want you to model 2 1/2. Number 2 is going to be 1 1/4. So maybe you write these down. 3, you're going to model 2 1/8. 4, I want you to model 3 2/3. Number 5, I want you to model 2 5/8. And the last one, I want you to model 1 7/16. Now, last thing, when you guys draw these rectangles, if you use a ruler, if you just do freehand, that's fine. They don't have perfect, something like that is fine. They should look like this. Okay? Like that one's pregnant. Okay, so just nice and neat and careful work is what I'm looking for. I don't want any pregnant rectangles. Okay? And any questions before you get going? Let me end this video here. Everybody say goodbye.